Hey guys, Varanice here. Today I want to share with you my top 5 tips to improve at auto chess. Let's get into it. Tip number 1, build your economy. If you didn't know, you get 1 gold in interest for every 10 gold that you have at the end of the round. This interest caps at 5 gold per round, or 50 gold in total. The most common mistake that I see novice players making is not taking full advantage of this additional income. This mechanic is the backbone of all economic management in auto battlers. I personally recommend that you aim to have 20 gold by round 10 and 50 gold by round 15. You might struggle with this at first, but it will help you develop other skills like managing your bench in the early game. Try to only buy 3 and 4 gold cost units that will help keep you healthy through the mid game. Expensive units that are doing nothing on your bench will only serve to stifle your economy in the long run. Establishing an early win streak or loss streak is another great way to achieve and surpass these milestones consistently. Tip number 2. Level on curve. I define the leveling curve as the round when the remaining XP needed to reach the next level is divisible by 4. This means that leveling up on this round saves you 4 gold when compared to leveling up on the previous round. I've listed a common example of a leveling curve on the screen. It's worth noting that rounds 15 and 25 are creep waves, so waiting until the next round to level is effectively on curve too. It's also worth mentioning if you've used an odd number of human books, the ones that give you 2 XP when you use them, your leveling curve is now 2 rounds earlier than normal. There are often situations where leveling early off curve is correct too. I encourage you to explore experimenting more with that later once you get more comfortable with establishing streaks and targeting bounties. Tip number 3, roll for a reason. Another common mistake I see is players excessively rolling in the early game. While there are some situations where rolling in the early game is correct, I generally don't recommend it as a rule of thumb because it can establish some high-risk habits early on. You'll notice top players will often favor leveling over rolling in the early and mid game. Leveling offers a guaranteed increase in board strength by having an additional unit in play. Rolling, on the other hand, can be entirely worthless if you whiff, making it much more risky. There are definitely some situations where it is worth it to roll though. If you're trying to establish a win streak, break your loss streak, or target someone else's bounty, it may be worth rolling to marginally increase your board strength. If you have many paired units, this also significantly increases your odds of hitting an upgrade off of a roll. Lastly, when you have over 50 gold, you can't earn any more interest gold, so the decision to spend your money should be pretty obvious now. You just need to decide between spending your money on leveling versus rolling, and the above 2 factors should help with making that decision. Tip number 4, position mindfully. Another common mistake I see novice players make is positioning their entire team into a small cube in the corner of the board for the entire game. We can do better than this with a little bit of preparation. I think most players know that you should generally put your melee units in the front and your ranged units in the back. But I would also recommend positioning your team to adequately handle any enemy teleport daggered units. Keep in mind that this unit can teleport from the left or the right side of the board. Accounting for this in the early game and mid game often means simply positioning one of your frontline units with your backline units. Once you start approaching the mid game, spread out your units to mitigate enemy AoE damage becomes more and more important. Making use of the entire board helps your team establish a concave over the opponent's team during the fight. This is good because it helps your ranged units focus fire down enemy units and mitigates their ability to do the same to you. Tip number 5, don't blame luck. We all know that there are a decent amount of luck-based factors in auto battlers that can significantly impact your game. It can be very easy at times to blame a loss on low rolling or getting unlucky, but I recommend that you try to focus on the things that you do have control over. This is when you level, when you roll, and how you position your units. These are ways that you get to impact every single game that you play, regardless of the luck. It's no accident these are the things that I've tried to really emphasize in this video. Top players don't push their average placement into the low 2s in ranked by getting luckier. They push their average lower by improving at this decision making. When they do get lucky, they convert that into a win almost every time. When they get unlucky, they can still often salvage it into a top 4 finish by emphasizing their mechanics that they've developed. After a tough loss, try to think back about when you leveled, when you rolled, and how you positioned your team on key rounds to consider what you could have done better. If you made it this far into the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. I stream most weekdays on Twitch, usually starting at around 9 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.